We've all been there, right? 1 minute, everything's totally fine. The next, a full-blown emotional hurricane is tearing through your living room. It's this, tidal wave of anger or sadness that just comes out of nowhere, and suddenly everyone feels completely swamped. And it leaves you asking one simple question.
Seriously, what do you do in the middle of all that intensity? What's the right move? Do you reason? Lay down the law? Just hide and wait for it to pass? It's such a tough spot to be in. And let's be real, there's no single magic wand for this stuff.
And let's be honest here, it's not just overwhelming for your kid. It is overwhelming for you. That surge of stress, of helplessness, maybe even your own anger starting to bubble up, that's totally normal. So today, we're going to break down a game plan to help navigate these storms, not just for them, but for you too.
To really get a handle on the storm, we've got to look at the weather conditions that are causing it. And you might be surprised to hear, one of the biggest factors isn't about rules or discipline, it's about biology. And a lot of the time, it all starts with sleep.
Okay, so this sounds a little sciencey, but stick with me. This quote from an NIH study is a huge deal. Affect processing is basically just a fancy way of saying handling your emotions. So when a kid is sleep deprived, their brain's ability to manage feelings is literally physically impaired. It's kind of like they're trying to drive a car with no brakes.
And this is not some rare thing. We're talking up to 50% of kids have sleep problems. That's 1 out of every 2 children. So if you're dealing with a lot of big emotions, there is a very good chance that a lack of good, solid sleep is a huge part of the puzzle.
So, here's the game-changing idea. We've got to shift our thinking from bad behavior to biological need. The second we do that, we can stop just reacting and start responding with tools that actually help their bodies calm down. And we're going to walk through a really simple 3-step plan to do exactly that. First, the check-in. Then, we'll build a calming toolkit. And finally, we'll learn how to repair and reconnect once the storm's passed.
All right, step 1. Now, this isn't about fixing anything right away. It's all about building awareness. Think about it. Before a kid can manage a big feeling, they first have to even recognize what it is. The check-in is all about teaching them to become little detectives of their own feelings and, this is key, their own bodies.
And this is the first question we ask. It brings everything right back to their biology. You ask, hey, where do you feel that anger in your body? Maybe they say, my tummy feels tight, or my face is getting hot. This is so powerful because it connects an abstract thing like sadness to a real physical feeling, which makes it so much easier for them to catch it early next time.
Next up, we give them a way to measure just how big that feeling is. A feelings thermometer, like this one, is perfect. Instead of just, I'm mad, they can learn to say, I'm at a level 5. And that, right there, is crucial info for both of you. It tells you if you're dealing with a little drizzle or a full-on hurricane, and that changes everything. Okay, so moving on to step 2. Once you've named the feeling and figured out how big it is, it's time to actually respond to what's happening in their body. The goal isn't to just stuff the feeling down, it's to help your child ride that emotional wave without wiping out. And that's where the Calming Toolkit comes in.
You know, the best tools are often super simple sensory things that work directly on the nervous system. Taking big, deep belly breaths literally sends a signal to the brain's alarm system telling it to stand down. Squizzing a stress ball gives all that frustrated energy a safe place to go. See, these aren't just distractions, they are actual physical strategies that help their little bodies re-regulate.
Of course, different things work for different kids. For some, drawing their anger helps get the feeling out of their body and onto the paper, which makes it feel way less overwhelming. For others, just listening to some quiet music can literally change their physical state. The key here is to have a whole menu of options ready to go.
And here's the most important part. You build this toolkit with your child when they are calm and happy. You can make a real box with things in it or just have a list like this one. By offering choices like, hey, do you think deep breaths or squeezing the ball would help your body feel calmer right now? You're empowering them. You're teaching them to figure out what works for their own body.
And now for our final step. And honestly, this might be the most important one of all. It happens after the storm is totally passed and everyone is calm again. This is where the real learning happens. It's not about punishment for having a feeling, it's about fixing that connection and figuring out a plan for next time.
The process itself is pretty straightforward. First, you just acknowledge what happened, without any judgment. Wow, that was a really big feeling. Then, you make sure everyone has had plenty of space to really cool down. After that, you can gently problem solve. Next time you feel that frustration bubbling up, what's something from our toolkit we could try?
And finally, the most important part, you reconnect. A hug, a quick game, anything that says, we're okay, we're good. And this is the real gift of step 3. When we show our kids how to repair things after a conflict, we're teaching them some of the most critical skills they'll ever need in life: resilience, forgiveness, and the incredible truth that a fight doesn't have to break a relationship. We're building deep, lasting trust.
So let's zoom out. What's the big picture here? Why go through all this trouble of checking in and building toolkits and repairing things? Well, because this whole approach isn't just about surviving one tantrum. It's a massive investment in your child's long-term emotional well-being.
I mean, this says it all, doesn't it? When we respond to their biology with tools and connection, we're teaching them that they are not helpless when big feelings show up. We're showing them that they are capable, powerful problem solvers who can figure things out.
Just look at these long-term payoffs. This whole process makes setbacks feel normal, not catastrophic. It shows kids that bad feelings come, but they also go. And most of all, it builds a home where they feel completely safe to be themselves, messy feelings and all. They learn to trust that even when their own body feels out of control, their connection with you is rock solid.
So, at the end of the day, it really just boils down to this question. The goal is never going to be to stop the storms from happening. That's just not how humans work. The goal is to give our kids a raincoat, an anchor, and a compass so they can learn to navigate their own emotional seas for the rest of their lives.